This evening I'm going to be speaking about how we can try and put everything that we've learned and put it all together and bring it into our daily lives and make it a regular part of our lives. And so, yeah, if you guys have got any questions as well, why I'm here talking, feel free to put those, just comment those, and I'll try and get to those as well, because this is the second to last talk from me, unless anyone's got something that they really want for me to talk about. And so at the end of this session, we'll sit quietly together as well in meditation. And I think today I'll just start the timer, and I think we'll just sit quietly together for 5 minutes. Hopefully you guys have had enough experience now with the deep breathing and just sitting still and watching your eyelids. So that'll be nice just for us to share that together. It's nice that there's 5 of us all here together. So yes, putting it all together and bringing it all into our daily lives. As a reminder, just to recap, we had the introduction to mindfulness and meditation. We had the developing habits through the 6 points of focus. We had a guided meditation, developing gratitude, metta loving kindness, letting go of stress, and a walk-in meditation. And so there was quite a lot of new information there, especially if some of you have not participated or studied or practiced mindfulness and meditation. A lot of the information could be new for you and it could be quite overwhelming, but thankfully all of those videos will remain there for you for the next month at the very least, so you can always go back and look at those. And there's also many helpful articles that you'll find with a quick Google search. So what's the best way to bring all of this information and practice into our daily lives? The first thing I would say and advise is that if during any of the exercises that we done, you were able to experience a different, have a different awareness of life, to have your stress levels reduced, to have your sense of well-being increase. If any of these practices did that for you, even in the very smallest way, even in the most imperceptible way, I would highly recommend that you use that as like an anchor point and you really try and focus and bring that into your life. Because ultimately why I wanted to touch on all these different subjects during the course of the month rather than focus on just one thing is so that you had an opportunity to just touch and experience all sorts of different aspects of mindfulness and meditation, with the hope that one of those might have touched you deeply, and then you can bring it into your life and really benefit from that. So that's the first thing. If one of them really grabbed you and really moved you and made you feel very different to how you normally feel, then definitely focus on that one and then try and bring everything else in on top of that. However, if you're finding it more difficult to incorporate some of these things into your daily life, because like I always say, life will never just move out the way and step aside for you when you decide to do whether it's a new fitness regime or a new meditation program or new healthy eating habits. Life never just says, oh, okay, then I'll make it easy for you, carry on and make your changes. Sometimes, and most of the time, life even intensifies and gets more hectic and difficult. So yeah, if you haven't had the opportunity to bring these things in with practice and attention, yeah, this is what I'm going to touch on, how you can do that. And so what we can do, again, it can take a quiet moment, which some of us don't get if life is really hectic, but you can take a quiet moment and just consider all of the things that are mentioned and reflected on what we've been through. And just introspectively, you can just ask yourself in a meditation, just ask yourself, what am I lacking? What do I need most in my life? And you'll find if you sit quietly enough and be open and receptive enough, your own mind or something will come in and it will give you the answer. And maybe you need some more gratitude in your life. Perhaps you need to slow down. Your pace of life is too quick and it's unsustainable. And maybe the morning meditation will help. But all I can do is just introduce you to all of these different aspects of mindfulness and meditation, and it's up to you to take the one that you enjoy the most, or the couple, or whichever ones, and to bring them into your life and use them to try and experience a different sense of reality without the stress, without the anxiety, and with the happiness and peace starting to generate and starting to become a more common state of mind and being. So we have to, and it's the only way really, just like with our physical health, our mental health, also with our spiritual health, we have to take priority. We have to take responsibility and make it an important part of our lives, so that we come back to it each morning. We come back to it every time we have a quiet moment. And if we just keep coming back to it regularly throughout the day, it will begin to blossom and grow. And hopefully, at some point in the future, your spiritual practice will be a beautiful flower, and not just a little seed or a seedling wherever it is now. And again, there's no end to the spiritual practices. You just keep going and refining yourself down. And so what I hope is that you have, through one of these practices and exercises, you have touched upon, even if it's the very slightest, the very smallest sense of this experience. I hope you are able to just touch it enough to get that experiential taste of it, to know that there's something there beyond the normal, the normal facade that life presents to us, because there's a hell of a lot more. And it's about desiring it enough and having the intention to put enough effort in to get it. Everyone, if you want a nice healthy body, it's very simple, isn't it? You do the exercise, you reduce your calories, and all the calories that you take in, you make sure that they're the good quality healthy ones. And so it's just the same with the spiritual and mental side of life. One has to make it a big priority. One has to say, I'm fed up of being down, I'm fed up of being stressed out and anxious. I'm going to take control, and I'm going to do these things in order to incorporate and bring it all into my life and make my life better, send the grey skies away, and bring the sunshine out. So it takes work, it takes effort, but why I'm sharing all this with you, and what I truly believe, is that with practice and certain small experiences and reinforcement, positive feedback loops, you can start to grow and develop your spiritual practice and your sense of awareness, and not be like a zombie, just constantly lost in imagination and worries and thinking and mulling over stuff. Because if that's how we're going through life, never experiencing the moment, then where are we? If we're not in the moment, experiencing what's going on around us, where actually are we? Where would you say you are if you're not focused in the present moment? And a lot of us are often vacant from our lives, and it's important to try and be present in your life, because otherwise really you're not really participating. Your body is just going along. So one final thing before we sit quietly together is, you can, if you're really struggling, a great way to build a habit is to attach one of the aspects of mindfulness and meditation, whichever one's calling out the most loudly to you, to attach it to a habit that you already have. So a few examples: it might be having your morning cup of coffee, might be taking the dog for a walk, it might be, again, whatever, before you watch your evening TV show, or whatever it is that you might do in the evening. A lot of these things are already established habits, so it's very easy just to attach. Let's take coffee, your morning coffee for an example. You know that every morning you have your morning coffee without fail, so attach sitting quietly for 5 minutes into that activity. You go downstairs, you flick the kettle on, and you can just sit at your kitchen table or your kitchen counter, or come into the front room, and then I'm not going to miss my morning coffee, because I always have my morning coffee. So what I'm going to do is I flick the kettle on, as it's boiling, I'm going to go and do my 5 minutes meditation or my gratitude or my loving kindness, whatever one is calling out to you and whatever one feels most comfortable for you. And that way you'll be able to get it in throughout the day. Another very simple one, let's say you've got a dog, you go for a walk with the dog, or you take your kids to school. I see a lot of people walking their dogs, with their devices. So I mean, what are you experiencing in reality if you're walking the dog with your smartphone in your face? And so we can put the smartphone away and we can practice our walking meditation. I'm sure everyone, maybe not so much now with the current climate, but I'm sure everyone gets out and about at least for some periods of the day. So this is really helpful and can really benefit, as well as the 6 points of focus, to attach the habit that you really want to develop in your life and just attach it onto some habit that you already have in your life. Should be very easy, and everything should be coming together in your minds now as I'm saying that. And so I think that is a key aspect to it, because we've got our lives are pretty much set up in a similar way from day to day, so it should be quite easy to attach one of those habits to the other one. And I think that's all from me with bringing everything together. If you've got any questions, you can comment now or comment in the comments afterwards, and I'll try and get round and answer that for you. And then on Saturday's talk, I'm going to be speaking about some books, some apps and some resources that you can use to go forward. I often find reading a spiritual book, it often takes the mind, is good food for the mind, and it takes it to a good place, and you're able to be more aware and more happy and more peaceful because of a good spiritual book or certain apps with guided meditation. And I'll get into the details on Saturday. And me and Sylvia are going to decide what's the plan moving forward for our group, because we both really enjoyed it, and I hope that you have too.